Lights, camera, action. Welcome to the Scrapbook Podcast, Director's Cut. Bring him in, let him be. Actually, I'll bring it in for you.
Yeah,
bro.
thank you. Fuck. Do something for once.
And welcome back to the Scrapbook Podcast, Director's Cut. It's me, Jody, in the place to be. Danny Brown, I'm going to sing you that freestyle soon, nigga. With my fellow host, P. Wiggles, Patrick fucking Wigfall. About to start chiefing and forget what the fuck he's about to say.
YOLO. All right, I'm going to go right into it.
It's his turn, since y'all had a good 5 stories straight from me. And I've heard some complaints. Fuck y'all.
I will not address any complaints. So send them to him. I'm not going to hear about them. So it is what it is. So this one, I was watching I Love Lucy, the first episode, and she's reading a book, and Ricky walks in and she throws it out the window because he scared her. And then
or he's like, a woman reading? Ha, not in my fucking house.
Punch in the back of the head. And so Ricky goes down to get this shit, and Lucy's like, oh, I'm sorry, honey, it was a scary book. And then his homie Fred comes in, and she's like, yeah, Lucy's been tripping on this book the last few, days. And Fred is like, slip her a Mickey. And for all those people that don't know, a Mickey is the date rape drug. It's that shit that makes you go to sleep.
Roofie.
A roofie. And so I was like, yo, that's not cool. And everybody on the studio laughed. And then he ended up doing it. And she thought he was killing her. She thought that he was going to kill her. And he never ended up doing it. It was just a sleeping aid. But slipping drugs to women was very prevalent and okay in the 60s and 50s. And probably still to this day, to be honest with you. So,
it's a hot take, Pat.
Yeah, man, let's be real. So, it takes place in like the 60s. And,
this story.
Yes. And it's a businessman whose wife does the majority of his dealings as far as, if he was a rock star, she's the manager kind of thing. She does all the small details. He goes in there and puts on the show. I know what I'm doing, invest into this. I know what I'm doing, do this. And so he's doing all that. And then he starts to notice that, like, he's doing really well, but it's because of her booking. It's because of how she's setting him up day after day after day, having these, the books on record and not being like how he used to do it, where it was just like, we'll see what happens. And so as he's going along with the shit, he starts to see that people are giving her too much attention. And so he starts slipping her a small amount of drugs before they have meetings, so she can kind of be off her game and he shines, because his narcissism is what's driving this. Is that this is about me? I'm the one doing this. And then after a few meetings of him getting outshined by his wife, he finds out about cocaine. And that gives him a little bit of an edge because he's faster. He's more quick-witted initially. And so he gets a few meetings in on cocaine, and they're like, man, yeah, this is the... And his wife is like, this is what I wanted. This is the you I needed. And he's like, cool, I'm going to keep doing it now. I've gotten the go-ahead by the people I work with. Got the go-ahead by my body saying I love this shit, and I got the go-ahead from the wife. I'm going to die on this shit.
That's all you need.
Yeah. Really? And so he starts to do coke, and she's still doing what she's doing, but he starts to get paranoid because it's like an overview look at how men felt about women in the workplace. You're not supposed to be here, but when they outshine you, you take it as like a sign of disrespect. Like, nah, just step your game up. Just do better. Mm-hmm. If she gets that job over you, that doesn't make her a better person. That makes her better at that.
Yeah, you take it personal.
Yeah. I didn't hurt your mama. I don't know her. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
And so he starts to drug her on a more regular basis. And as he's drugging her, his drug use goes along with that. So it
raises up.
Exactly. As she's hitting, like, she's like, I'm always tired and my liver hurts. Like, she's grabbing at her side and shit. And she's just like, man, I don't know what this is, And he's just like, I don't know what it is. You sleep a lot, though. I don't know what it is. And he starts to not do well at his job. Or he starts to do better at his job initially with the coke. And then he starts to see during moments of him hitting his peak, executives come to talk to her. And like, you know, they point at him. And then she waves it off and pulls him into a room. And so he's taking it as she's getting over on him. Like, oh, you got side money coming in on this shit. Because why am I not in the room on that deal? And that's just, she's done nothing but made him better. And he's looking for a reason why she shouldn't be in this situation anymore.
Yeah.
So, roundabout, they basically don't ever come to a head personally. She has no clue he's doing this to her. And she's confiding all this information in him.
And she has no clue that it's a problem for him.
Yeah. Yeah, she has no clue. She's just like, you know, we've made it so far. He's like, I've made it so far. You've been here, but you know what I mean, like, who's closing the deals?
Yikes.
And it's just like, she's just like sitting there and she's starting to, she'll take in the reference, but this is the 60s. You have to remember how men talked back then and how women received men talking to them. So it wasn't a, what the fuck you mean? It was more of like a, let me just sit on that. He didn't mean that. And he's not an alcoholic. I didn't want to make this like the basic 60s, 50s alcoholic male. I want him to be on some a stimulant that makes him feel like he's on her level. But the fact that he felt he needed to do a stimulant to be on her level shows that he wasn't on her level. And that's what's eating away at him, is that this woman who I brought into the industry have found her legs and she's running faster than me now. And people are noticing that. Men that used to talk down on women are asking for her to come to lunch and not me.
Buying her lunch.
Yeah. And then she's turning it down because she's like, I got deals to make happen. And so she's kind of like, but people are starting to notice that she looks a little thinner, looks a little more pale. Have you been eating? And she's just like, I haven't been able to keep anything down. I've just been really sick lately.
Damn. And
he's just like, I can show up to the meeting. And they're just like, we need somebody who knows the figures. You know what I mean? Do you know how many Winston Hall holds as far as capacity goes? And he's like, Winston Hall. Are you talking about on the south end? And you're just like, in Nebraska.
Look, Fred, go ahead. You stay at the head of the table. You know what I mean? We're gonna pass these mashed potatoes and peas around. You know
exactly. And so he's getting real salty. His drug addiction is taking a darker turn than hers because he's losing himself and missing appointments now and missing giving her doses. He's like, all right, like, I'm going to let her fix this, but then when this happens, I'm going to jump back on board kind of thing. Because you know how druggies do it. They take a break from sobriety completely and they just go on a bender. And they're nowhere to be seen for 3 days. You know what I mean? So that's what he's basically doing in this 3-day period. Comes back, and she's just like, we need to talk. And he's like, yeah, we should talk. Let's have a drink. And then that's when he overdoses her. And he accidentally kills her. He doesn't mean to kill her. But because he's on like shit after a 3-day bender, and he's like, I just need you to stop talking. He overdoses her and kills her. And he's holding her, you know, lifeless body in his hands. She's spitting up foam and shit, and he's crying, he's weeping because he did love her, but his pride and his inability to understand that times change and certain people run harder at a certain destination than you do. It wasn't that she was better than you, it was that you felt that you had earned this position and you stopped working for it, and she never felt like she earned it, so she always worked for it. And so he's holding her, he's really crying. He gets a call, he doesn't answer it. The answering machine goes off. I don't know if they have those in the 60s, but fuck it, for this scenario, they do. And he's like, where are you at, Deborah? We need you at the studio 66 for this. You know, this is a big deal closing on Bryant. And he's just like, oh, fuck, I could still get that. And it's that pride and, like, narcissism that has him leave his dead wife to go to this meeting. And then he goes to the meeting and doesn't know shit.
Yeah.
They ask him all the big questions like, what are your market prices on tickets for, whatever. What about the second show? Because we normally get a second show. And he's just like, this can be an entertainer or a businessman. But either way, it figures that he's let his wife deal with. Like, I can pay the bills. But do I know where all the money should go off top? Aurora hops off a bridge tomorrow and, like, really went to, like, Moscow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I never see her again. I don't know how to pay Hulu. You feel me? I'd have to hit them up directly and be like, hey, but, like, I'd have to do that for every single thing. And when I've been living recklessly for the last 6 months on coke, you don't look at the finances. And she's taken more of a hold on the finances because of the fact that you've been going off the rails. And when she's waking up, she's like, why? None of this is done. Because he starts to, like any kind of drug, he's starting to give her more and more. Her tolerance is going up. She's not sleeping for 2 hours like he needed just for the meeting. Now she's sleeping 4 hours, 5 hours. Yeah. And then he starts to get to the point where he wants to go on a full day bender, so he's giving her fucked up amounts of the shit. And then when he stops doing it for a second and then overdoes, that's when he kills her. Then he goes to this meeting. They're like, yo, what are the figures on this, on this, on this? What's the vig on that? He's like, and they're like, where is Deborah at? She's the head of this thing. Where is she? And he's like, I'm the head of this thing. And they're like, no. You don't know the VIG numbers. Who's your last client? And he doesn't have any clue. He's just showing up for the show of it all. Yeah. Because he's good at what he does, but only that. And he stopped trying on everything else. And so when he doesn't know it, they're just like, when Deborah shows up, have her give me a call because I can't deal with you. And he's like, I introduced you to her.
And this is his business.
Yeah. It's his name. You know what I mean? It's his name. She's just running it better than he could. Mm. And so he goes home, or he's driving, and I think this would be like poetic for him to be speeding and to go off of a bridge.
Because he was doing speed?
No, I was gonna say more because like the only thing that he could control was his death.
Damn.
The projection of his life at this point was being controlled by her, and he didn't like that. But he had managers before, you feel me? He had people before that were leading him, and he was just talented. But it's like the story of a man who was in his own arena all the time, and when he stepped outside of his arena, he was like, where are my fans at? Yeah. Like, no, you're not in your arena anymore. You don't have any fans out here. You have people expecting you to hit a deadline, and when you miss it consistently, we no longer trust you. We're going to hit up Deborah because she's never missed anything. And so, yeah, that's how the story ends.
So what businesses does he have?
I want to say he's in marketing, just because that's a lot of work leading up into a display of showing. Right. Like that's something that you have your underlings do the footwork for. Then you have the partners put the statement together, and then you present it. He's there for their presentation.
So he owns this business?
I would say he's either a partner or he's and remember, this can go either way. He could be a performer, a low-key performer that's starting to pop. He could be, I think business would make it more like the time. Yeah. Like, just because, like, if you're in the rock thing and your groupie is the one doing it, they're not being like, hey, this woman's dope and you're carrying. You're on stage performing. Yeah. But she's not just booking your event. She's feeding out your dossiers and shit so everybody knows what they're finna be up on in this meeting. And she starts to open up meetings when he's missing them. And so now people are gaining rapport with her instead of it being him. And he comes in flustered. He kind of like makes like a sexist joke. And then he's right back in the mix.
Do they have any kids?
No. He's very work centric.
How did he find out about these drugs?
Signing on a big deal with the client that she snagged, but they didn't want women there. And so away from away from his wife's eye, he started it. It was somebody being like, this is some new shit. It'll keep you up. It'll keep you fucking going. And he's just like, that's what they're saying I'm lacking.
They get up and go.
They get up and go. And it gives them to get up and go for a few weeks, but then weeks turn into months, and then you haven't slept good. You're not eating well. It breaks down into like regular addiction at that point.
So, do you think this should break into a whole psychosis?
For him?
Yes.
Yes. I want it to be where he... Yeah.
All right, so you were talking, I was listening. I think it would be pretty dope, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, the whole scene of him like holding her while he's like hitting bumps of coke and shit like that, crying, in and out of crying and laughter and anger. He should go to this the dinner party dressed as Deborah. A stream of blood coming out of his nose.
So they completely know that he's lost it.
They don't know that. They don't know what the fuck is going on.
They know, in the 60s, nigga pulls up in a fucking dress.
I know, but he's just like, he just lost it because he killed his what? No. He's like, what the fuck? Everybody's like, what the fuck?
Where's Deborah? I am Deborah.
Yeah.
That would add on a real sick kind of like...
Yeah, and then all of his notions of... Earlier on, you were like, she was pointing... The people were pointing to her. Pointing to him. And then she kind of just pushed him along. What if in his mind he saw her pointing and then them just like, oh, fuck that guy. We want to talk to you and push her along. So he thinks that she's fucking niggas too. That's the only reason why a woman would get this far along. Not because of knowledge she knows.
Yeah, back in the day.
She's fucking niggas. Yeah. That's right now too.
Yeah.
People don't think that she works fucking hard as fuck. No, she fucks niggas. That's why. You know what I mean?
Except that they're uggo. You feel me?
Yeah. They could boss.
Let's just keep it real. I've done good all day, woman. I get to say uggo.
They could be just bossing you up super tough.
Yeah, but if you look like fucking, me, I don't want that happening.
So it's kind of like all the insecurities come out all at the same time.
After she died.
So, and he goes to
he takes off her dress.
And wears that bitch.
He undresses her and takes off the dress.
Bra too, draws all that shit. He's wearing them all. Pantyhose. And he smudges the lipstick all around his lips and shit like that. And he walks into that bitch.
It would for me throw me off. It would throw me off more for his makeup to be kind of dope.
Kind of dope?
Like kind of on point.
But he's been doing cocaine.
Exactly. That's the point, is that like that break in sanity gives you calmness, because your sanity was keeping you crazy.
Okay.
So like, what if he went in but like was stumbling? Like but you don't stumble on coke. You're super aware.
You're stumbling if you're wearing fucking heels, Patrick.
Maybe he's done it before.
Okay. Then there's no sort of...
Oh, he's a cross-dresser. Switch to... Oh, no, just joking. No, well, shit.
You could do that.
And that's why he's jealous. It's because she's getting the shine.
And
he wants to be like her.
He wants to be her. In a way.
Is that a little play on weight, though?
What about
Jane and Mrs. E?
No.
Because she wanted to be her, and she was wearing the dress, and she was like, I am
that's a middle-aged, fat white woman wanting to be...
Hey, and I want to clear that up. She was not fat. She
had back arm titties. It's okay.
Why?
She could stir some
macaroni. No, we said that she was thick until Mrs. G showed up.
Some macaroni.
Yeah. And throw it back on somebody if they really needed it. Well, homeboys out here, Jack.
Pull up on me.
Anyways,
pull up on me. Pull up on me. Anyway, but yeah, so maybe I think that breaking psychosis would be fucking...
Well, let's go a different way with it. Breaking psychosis, no dressing up. What's a different way he could show up to that event that would terrify people?
No, the other way. That make you be like the most shocked?
Yeah, in the 60s for a nigga to show up in his wife's clothing.
Yeah.
With a high-pitched voice, but like he has a mustache.
Yeah. On some fucking Bill Dauterive shit. Hi, Lenore. Lenore. Whatever the fucking name was.
That's at I don't get my dick sucked because my ass stink kind of body type. There's like, it smells so bad. He's just like, I took a shower. Like, you're not cleaning good enough. You're not. You're just not.
You're not bending over.
Yeah. And he's just like, you just wipe up. And I'm just like, that's why your back is kind of dark. You're a white man. Bend over and clean it with soap. Bidets are anyways. All right. Anyways. Yeah, that would be good. I'm just trying to figure out how to like tie in where people let him leave. Because at a certain point, people are going to be like, hey, can we talk to you?
Are you going to grab a hold of a nigga that's wearing a dress?
Yeah, when he's a partner of a company.
That you've never fucking seen before. You're going to grab this man and be like, we're going to call the police.
No, I'm talking about the nigga that he went there for the meeting for. He's going with heads of it, like of the executives and shit. Like he's going for like to some shit that's like NBC in the 60s or whatever, if that was a thing. Mm-hmm. So like people would be like, hey, John, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? And he's just like, it's Deborah. And you're just like, hey, you got to go with this shit. And maybe it's the dude who did the coke, who gave him the first hit of coke, and he's like, you're going too far with this shit. Where's Deborah at, man?
Nigga, you gonna blow up the spot.
Exactly, like, and so they're kind of, he's trying to cover his ass, kind of. That's why he's pulling him away, and he's like, I will not stop. And he's just like, you got to get it. Like, why are you doing this? We're so close to a huge deal. What are you doing? And he's like, I'm saving my husband's company. And he's like, oh shit. Yeah. He's like, you gotta go. You gotta go, man. You gotta go. And he's like, my husband will hear about this. And storms off.
Slaps this nigga across the face. Don't fucking touch me.
Kind of rocks him.
Days.
Hey, if you let a grown man slap you without like any reflex, you're gonna get rocked. Mm-hmm. Unless he's like what you call a
Korean or Indian. No offense, with these niggas,
Indians will slap the fuck out of you,
and they'll machete your ass too.
And that's so disrespectful. Like you make my ear ring, and then you come at me with a sharp, rusty object.
Yeah, for real though, and it's all above the head chops. This nigga coming like
all downward strokes, all axe swings,
all the way down. I'm like, man, if I have my pistol, then he's like, man.
He's like, I keep my shit on me.
Pull up on me. But yeah. So if you don't want to go that way, but
no, I like it. I like it. This is the new ending. This is the new ending that they push.
No, same way.
No, yeah, but I'm saying this is what leads him to getting in the car. And he's like, you need to get it together, man. You need to get Deborah here. This shit's not gonna work. And he's like, she's dead in my apartment right now. In my skyscraper, like my penthouse apartment. She's dead right now. I killed her. But he doesn't tell her. Like, he doesn't tell anybody. Or does he?
I think he does. He says it. He says it to him. Just like that. You don't believe this is real. Okay, so when I got hit by a car, I didn't think it was real.
I remember you calling me and laughing, crying, and then being hella serious and angry within a minute. Your emotions were scattered, nigga. They were scattered.
I was completely in shock, right? And I was sitting in the and then thank God my wife came and was just like, fuck all this. Get him into a fucking room. He got hit by a car. So, but anyway,
that's
at that time,
woman energy.
At that time, it's just like, you don't know what the fuck. You can't grasp anything. It's just all loose and shit when you're in shock. Mm-hmm. Something traumatic happens to you. So for him, in that break comes reality. Everything. He's just like, Deborah's in the bathtub.
I drew her last bath.
She's dead. She's dead. She's dead. She's dead.
I overdid it with the Mickey. And he's not looking at him. And he just explains the whole story to me. He's like, I didn't like that. The company, I was losing control, and I needed control, and now I have control. Now I have control, and she doesn't. And it snaps right back to Deborah. He's like, I fancy a ride in the car.
Well, I want him to be sitting in it.
Oh, so he was like, so they walked into the car and then that's when he says it?
He gets into the whip, starts that
I want him to be outside of the car so he could see the change in demeanor. Like his stance change.
You can see it from the...
Well, but like I want him to like... I think it's more fucked up to see somebody walk away as a woman right after admitting killing your wife than being like, and then right back to this.
That's the thing. You're not gonna let that person walk away.
But he is. But he does.
I know. Of course he does. But
because he's so in shock of the moment, he's like, "What the fuck?"
In the scenario, you're like, okay, if I could stop him from talking in front of people in a Deborah voice. Physically stop him from doing that and get him out of the building. And then he says he killed her. You're not letting that person walk away.
So maybe he goes to grab him and he punches him.
Slaps him.
As a man.
Yeah. Unhand me, nigga.
Jaws this motherfucker. Sits him on his ass and he's a little like cross-eyed like, yo.
And then he says it. Oh, he's straightening him up. Like, then he's like, goes to Fred. And he's like, I killed her. She's dead. And then the whole confession and shit. And then back to Deborah. And then
she's like, I'm going to put ice on that later. And then skips off to the car and like drives away. And
skirts off.
And the ending sequence is him and her going back and forth, talking to each other. The conversation he always wanted to have with her. That she wanted to have with him.
That she wanted to have with him or him to her. It makes me feel uncomfortable that you're in a position of power.
And she's like, I wanted to help you. And he's like, you were everything. Why do you need to be more? And this is just like this whole like cars hitting cars at 60.
Yeah.
And he's going 80.
In heels.
and then he hits that bridge and he goes over and he's like, and then fucking, this is the switch. M. Night Shyamalan. Deborah comes out the back like, no, just joking. No, Deborah's dead. He killed her. But it could definitely be as he's dying, he looks over and sees Deborah in the car holding his hand. Because he acknowledged it in his frantic state. He acknowledged that, like, the reason I did this to you is because you were better at something than me than I was talented at. Like he breaks it down to why he was drugging her every other day for months straight.
Yeah.
And like increasing the dosage. And yeah, and that's it. Is him drifting away in a it'd even be dope if like their personalities switched back as far as like placement in the car. You know what I mean? Like if he's talking to her and he's driving, but it's her driving while he's talking to her.
Yeah.
And then when it's him talking, it's him driving and her in the passenger seat because it's a mental thing. So who's driving the wheel at that point? That personality.
I like that. And then in the response is them in the passenger seat. Saying
what you knew that you should, like, as much as I don't want to admit it, I understand my faults, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And, you know, when people are like, oh, you do this often. And I'm just like, all right, man, that's me. But I know that, though. I'm not unaware of it.
Yeah, you're with you all the time.
Yeah, man, I can't escape this motherfucker if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to, but, you know what I'm saying? Like, there is no point to where I don't see the shit you see. It's me choosing not to admit it to you.
Yeah.
That's why when niggas hit you with, hey, put some shit down, stop eating, lose weight, you're just like, God damn, I mean, that's real. That's real. Mm. Somebody, hey, put down the fucking drink, dude. Come on. We know how much you drink. It's okay. Calm down. And then you're just like, all right, you're right. You already know what's going on in your own mind for the most part, unless you're crazy.
Yeah, that's what the greatest part about mushrooms. It just shows you everything that you choose to ignore. Mm-hmm. all the facade, all the bullshit, it's just like, hey, this isn't real. What you've created is not real.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You are somebody outside of this, and hey, guess what? I'm here to help you find that person, and go ahead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For real. And for real, they really will.
Yeah, and they will fucking, hell, whoa. I do this and that, and I was angry for this reason, and it wasn't even a real reason at all. But yeah, mushrooms are the best. Hot sauce is the best.
Shout out to nigga Andy.
I like the fuck out of that. I like that shit. I like that shit. I was going to, and before you came up with that rockin' ass fucking back and forth, and the driving of the car is the person who has control of that time,
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to ask the nigga to sing the song that she liked the most. Her favorite song.
That can be playing on the radio.
Exactly. And that's what spurred on to this shit. You know what I mean? While he's going 160 into a tree.
And that's the thing, is he's not going into the tree, he's going into water.
Oh.
So he's going off a bridge, so he's gonna go to the impact, and maybe like at a certain point he's flashing in and out of reality, and he sees her body that he left, like there's just a naked chick laying on the dashboard.
Damn.
And then he looks back and she's like, look what you did to me. And he's like, I didn't do this to you, you did this yourself. She's like, you could have just told me.
Yeah.
And that's the cool part, nigga, is a lot of these people that kill people don't have to even kill them. It's just communication. Just talk.
Just tell your parents
before you
like
stab
it,
people and start doing weird shit. Communicate. Go cry to somebody. It's okay to cry. It's okay.
Don't try to tell your boyfriend to kill your parents.
Yeah. And then be like, huh? When the cops show up, like, nah, man.
Exactly, bro. Go ahead.
But yeah, that's it. Yeah, that was, and I want to call it the woman's plight, but I feel like that's like a bit on the nose. So it's a work in progress. We'll figure it out before it comes out. But thank you guys for joining us on the Scrapbook Director's Cut Patrick version. And I keep hitting this microphone, so if y'all hear like rattling, that's just me moving my hands because I'm anxious. I apologize. We love you. Don't stop being creative. We'll see you on another day. Bitches.
Peace.